it's early.
Larry's driving for us. Larry's my counterpart with Siemens. Okay, so I just want to give you an update. We haven't updated this since we started the project, so. All right.
You just put that closer to your mouth.
I'm sorry.
There you
There you
go.
go. Do a construction update, then we'll talk about some savings, guarantees, and then questions at the end. It's been it was approved in September 15. It's an 18-month construction project. Required to be completed by 2017. That's when first payment is due of $325,972. That is already built into the fund that we borrowed, so that payment's already in there. Right now, at the end of April, we're in the 7th month of construction. We're approximately 2 months ahead of schedule on this whole project. Okay. First part of this, there's in the interior lighting. The city has completely been changed out. The estimated savings for this on an annual basis is $89,000 a year. HVAC has been changed out. It just happens to be one in my building, so it'll be nice and cool this summer. Actually, that's probably a lie because my office is the hottest office in the building. Annual savings is $6,000. Water conservation, if you haven't noticed in all the city buildings, we put the low flow faucets in, toilets, so annual savings of $5,500 a year. That's been completed and it's in closeout. AMI meters, completion date scheduled for April 22nd. This is for the infrastructure. That's been completed. Staffing began training this week and next week. Water meters currently installing about 100 meters a day. As of April 30th, we have 3,659 meters installed, approximately 26%. There are 13,581 meters going to be replaced total. The electric meters, the pilot project is underway. Take a second to talk about the pilot. We did this with the water. We installed, I believe, 10, 15, to make sure that they were working correctly, that our meters, our data was all being collected on the right timing. We should be starting the deployment of the new meters, the electric meters, on May 9th. After the staffing, there are 26,942 meters to be replaced. And we look to be at this point on schedule to make the date. The lights, engineering's been completed. Street lights have been received and on site, the first purchase. Approximately 13% have been installed and completed and up. Larry, you have a chart there. We divided the city into quadrants. If you look at, we started on the south end. We've already completed 8 quadrants. No, you're ahead of me.
Yeah.
12 quadrants, right? He's moving quick.
I X'd them out today.
Seriously, they are moving quick. There are 12 quadrants completed, and I updated this map, this thing this morning, so Larry finished this afternoon. Larry has promised me 75 days he will be completed with all the lights in the city. And that should be a problem. They're going up pretty quick. FDOT approval for the decorative lights on all the Florida roads. That's Lake, Lucerne, Dixie, and Federal. They've all, that has been approved last week. We finally got that information, so those lights will also go to 2700 Kelvin. The problem with them right now is lead time on getting them ordered. We're getting them through the purchasing process right now. I don't remember, do you know what our lead time is, Larry?
10 weeks.
10 weeks. So 10 weeks after that, we'll begin installing them. There's also a painting process. If you notice, we have green and we have black throughout the city. They will now be one color. So we're going to strip them all. We're going to paint them. There's a 10-year guarantee on those.
Which color?
Green and black.
Yes. I chickened out. We let William and Joe pick the colors. It's a greenish color.
Kind of greenish black.
Well, uh-oh. What do you want? Pink? Black? Actually, there was a reason we picked green.
Yeah.
There are 800 green lights and 150 black lights. It was way more expensive to go with the black than it was the green because of the changeover. So it was a cost thing.
What do you mean there's more green lights? Didn't we order, aren't these all new lights?
But the poles,
Oh, the
the
poles,
fixtures,
those are green.
so it was a lot cheaper to go with the green.
And the majority of the traffic light poles are green.
Yeah.
So
And-
are you going to repaint the existing poles
Yes.
at least? Okay.
So everything's gonna be the same.
Okay, it just looks, some of them are real shoddy and,
Yeah. We're also planning on installing 150 new lights throughout the city. That's our target right now. There may be more than that. That should be the minimum. We, as the electric utility, are in the process of buying and purchasing the poles right now. We're finishing the agreement with Siemens. They'll be the one doing the installing of the lights themselves. Okay, that's about it for that. Barry? Solar. Design and engineering is 9% complete. It's going in front of our Planning and Zoning Commission. And then hopefully on June 1st, we'll bring that to you for approval for the rezoning so that we can start the solar site. Implementation will be in early June. Solar panels, we are in the process of being purchased. I don't know when the delivery is, but they've been chomping at the bit to deliver them to us.
Yeah, almost immediately.
Yeah, they're sitting right down the street in the warehouse probably. Larry and I have completed 3 community workshops. We were at the mayor's city address. The Lake Worth Earth Day, we had a tent there. We are planning on 2 groundbreaking events. One at the solar field and then one right here at City Hall when the new lights get lit up. But because of the timing of the purchase and lead time, we haven't picked those dates yet. And then I believe the city manager will be presenting at the Florida City and County Management Association on June 2nd. And I believe that's it. Questions?
Commissioner Russo?
This is going to be a little out of the realm, but I just want to put it out there while you're working through with FDOT. When I first got elected, out here in front of City Hall, the pole was all rusted, and I called FDOT, they did a little map quest, and he's like, yeah, I can see that, and they fixed it. As you're moving through the city, I noticed, especially on Lake and Lucerne, Dixie, Federal, all these FDOT poles are in need of repair.
Yes.
They're all rusted on the corner of Federal and Lake. The little buttons are all broken.
Are you talking the streetlights, Commissioner?
I'm talking the street light, the green poles, they're more FDOT. So I'm
Okay.
asking, it might be out of the realm of what you're doing, but while we're doing all these renovations and making everything look good, FDOT still looks like crap. Can you please reach out to FDOT when you're having these conversations to have them fix these poles?
I will do that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Boyd?
I think Commissioner Maxwell has this one. The suspense. On the streetlights, I know that part of the original project was the ability to have shields if people don't want light coming into their bedroom windows. To add on shields, part number on them. Do we have
I
those
don't
ordered?
believe that's true, Commissioner.
That was definitely discussed.
It was discussed, but I don't believe on the original approval, we were adding any kind of shields to these.
The dark skies plan.
That was very clearly part of the contract.
I remember the shields we talked about were, the only shields I remember talking about were in alleys where you had the ability to put a shield on one side in an alley, but that was more of a request and people were paying for them. I don't remember ever having shield requests.
Do you not remember all the discussions of the concerns and health effects. of-
I met with Dark Skies on several occasions.
The lights are dark sky compliant, and they're also adjustable, which a lot of people didn't know that if they have issues with the levels.
The shielding, it was written in, I remember very clearly that we were gonna buy.
Wait, Commissioner, I'll go back and look.
Yeah,
I'm not
let's look at it,
denying I don't
because
remember.
there are gonna be people who have that concern, it's very, very valid concern for health reasons that.
It's very focused light though, the way.
It isn't unless you put shields on it. That's why those shields exist.
Commissioner, I'll
It's
ask.
100, if you look it up, it's 180 degree, that means it's a flat surface, it's not going up, but it's going out sideways. And it's actually.
It's going out of the cone.
In just the cone.
It goes a long way out sideways.
That's the
They're,
idea.
they're wider than, yes, but it's not the idea if you don't want that intruding into your property. And that's a concern that a lot of people will have, and we made provisions at the time of the contract that there were gonna be a certain number of shields available for people.
I know what you're talking about, I don't remember the shields portion of it, but I think it's the actual light fixture itself. So I think we will need to have some investigation, I know what Commissioner McBoy is talking about.
Go back and
So I'll
take a look.
look.
Let's go back and look at
I'll
that.
look too,
That's-
and
that's
Yeah,
valid.
please do.
Yeah,
I'll follow up, I got a couple more on this. You mentioned, Mayor, thank you, that these, and I think Jack has mentioned it too, that these are, the milliamp setting is field settable. What's the procedure going to be if somebody, people in an area where one of these things is shining in, want it set less? What's our procedure for that? It's nice that it's field settable, but what's the procedure?
Well, at this point, there is no procedure. You as a commission have given me a number to install these lights at, and that's where we're installing them right now. The problem's gonna be is if you want the light bright, and Commissioner Maxwell wants it darker, less bright, darker, I've got an argument. So as a commission, you've told me what the setting is. I'm gonna have a hard time going between the two of you and picking one's right and one's wrong. So right now, there is no procedure for that. It's-
Which is a very big concern to a lot of people because the selling point was these would be field settable. And what you're telling me is, yes, they're field settable, but there's no procedure for actually setting them. Which
actually,
means you might as well not have, and it means it was a little bit of a sales pitch, which is gonna make a lot of people unhappy.
no, I would have to correct you on that, because it was not told to us that they were field settable. In fact, that was something that was learned after the fact. We didn't require them to be field settable, we asked them to be 2,700 or whatever the.
2,700 has nothing to
Right,
do with the
no,
field setting.
But
of the
field
current.
setting was not a discussion, and I would urge you to go back to the minutes of those meetings,
We've got a lot of
because
stuff on
that was not something that I recall being, it was something that we learned afterwards,
That's absolutely.
that was, and it was helpful too, because it could be adapted, and I think that we can not need to argue about it, because I think that the neighborhoods could decide for themselves, the organizations, if they have, if they have issues. One person does not dictate what the whole neighborhood wants. The consensus, just like up here of a commission, would be the neighborhood deciding what was right for their community, together and finding consensus.
And to address your point, when we did the trial run, when the CRA, we put some lights in the CRA district, that's when we found out that they were adjustable.
Right, exactly, thank you, I remember that,
That's
I
when we
remember
found
that.
out.
Commissioner
But that,
Martinez.
it was early on in the process.
Sure. I hate to jump in here, but I don't remember it that way either. I remember meetings with you and with Siemens prior to the approval of this, where we discussed the adjustability of these lights, and it definitely was a selling feature.
Now, we do have two levels of lights.
Yeah, I remember.
That's
We
not
have
what we're
two
talking
levels of
about.
lights. We have, and I don't remember the two distribution types. One's actually gonna go in the alleys, which is a little less illuminated, and then there'll be the ones on the streets.
That's
Okay.
not the conversation that we had.
Deb,
No.
can I ask for you to go back and look at that meeting where we had the Siemens project and send all the commissioners the minutes from that meeting, because maybe I'm wrong, that's fine. But either way, let's just have the facts.
When you approve the contract?
Yeah.
There were a couple of meetings actually. We're saying that this is something that was discussed prior to the approval, so really this information could come from any meeting that was prior to the approval.
Okay.
Regarding
Which was
Siemens.
September 27th and 15th, I believe, of April.
Okay, and if you wanna look at the meetings too, that's fine, and
Well,
and just give her the key verbiage for exactly what we're talking about, so that she can look specifically for those words. Okay, Vice Mayor?
Sure. You know, the ability to adjust the lights, as I recall, was not a selling point, was not part of the discussion. Had it been part of the discussion, that would have precipitated another discussion as to how we're going to proceed with an adjustable option. And we never had that conversation. And there is absolutely no way that we're gonna be able to go through this community of thousands of lights and have thousands of different points of view on what the light should look like in their neighborhood. That is not going to happen. We cannot do that. We cannot support doing that. And Mayor, to your comment off the neighborhoods, I think you're absolutely right, but there's one small problem with the neighborhoods, and that is, while the neighborhood associations are very strong and viable, they don't necessarily, not everybody in that neighborhood participates in the neighborhood association process. So you'd have a smaller body of people that represent a certain boundary area that they've determined for themselves, making decisions for people that don't participate in the neighborhoods. So
I don't know.
it's not an easy, there's no easy fix for this. We need to stick with our original plan. Everybody gets the same lights, which by the way, I got my light in, and Frank, I think my light's too, it's not bright enough. It's actually worse than what I had. So,
And we'll check on that.
please do.
We'll see, how are you gonna check on that? You're gonna check on everybody and everyone's gonna go, you're gonna get 9 million calls?
Now, here's the problem, Commissioner, is.
How long have we waited for lighting? Oh, for the love of God. We're finally getting all the lighting that we want, but can we try to just find some consensus here and everyone
Because
make the
everybody
phone
wants,
call and get what you want for the thing that's, make the call about the light that's in front of your house and express what you want.
Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
The problem is, when this whole thing went down, some folks didn't get 100% of what they wanted. And now that we're in the installation process, they're gonna backdoor us and try to get 100% of what they wanted. And we need to stick to the original contract, the original agreement.
Thank you. Commissioner Amoroso?
I just wanted to reiterate, and I say this on a regular basis, the reason we looked at lighting was we had people coming to this room saying, we need more lighting in our neighborhoods. We don't feel safe. It's about health and safety in our neighborhoods. We are giving them more lights. So from day one, I said, it comes to more light, brighter lights, safer streets. And if we're going to pick and choose who gets bright lights, who wants to dim their lights, we're gonna have the same problem we have with street calming in the city, where nobody wants to speed bump, everybody wants to street calming on their street, but nobody wants to speed bump in front of their house. We agreed on what we were going to do, and we need to move forward with that. And we can't pick and choose who gets brighter lights, who gets to dim their lights, who gets a shield on their light. At the end of the day, it's about the health and safety of our citizens.
Commissioner McWood?
Thank you. And unfortunately, we need a requirement that this be a factual discussion. And right now, the state of research on lighting, if you do your research,
I disagree.
you can disagree.
Hold on, we're not going back and forth. You have the floor, Commissioner McFoy. Please make your
Thank
point.
you.
Thank you.
The research is that a lot of crime happens during the day when it's orders of magnitude brighter than at night under any level of lighting. And when you do the studies and actually measure the lighting, more light does not reduce crime. And so there was a requirement. This came up during the contract, that there's this very strong perception all around the country that more light makes it safer, but it's not backed up by data. In fact, the data says the other way. Now, if you look further at the research, and Mayor, you may recall that we had this discussion at some of the meetings. If you look at the epidemiological research worldwide, and you look at cancer rates, particularly breast cancer rates, they are very strongly correlated with lighting levels. And so the issue of lighting coming into people's houses has measurable data of a negative effect of it coming in. And that's why
We raised the issues of shields, and that's why we raised the issue of, and I've got the, saying 350 milliamps, 580 milliamps, 701 amp. I've got that stuff, I've looked at that
And that was
quite a bit.
4,000 Kelvin, I believe, right?
Nope, 2700, right there.
What, the articles that I read, and I'm gonna challenge you on this, Commissioner, because
You can challenge it.
2,700 is not a normal level right now. So we are stepping out of the realm. The studies that I read, and I read 2 of them, it was at 4,000 Kelvin, not 2,700. That's why we agreed to drop
Unfortunately-
it down to 27.
Unfortunately,
Big
We already, first of all, we already had this conversation, we already had this debate.
Right.
This is an update from the electric utility on this issue. Let's get the information and the facts from regards to the minutes to see if there was the
Shields.
shields discussed
May I
as part of the
finish my-
contract.
Can I finish my comment?
Well,
Because I was not done. And I was-
One moment, please. Nothing good happens after 9 o'clock, I told you that. Finish your comment, please, thank you.
thank you. The issue of color temperature and the issue of power of the driver are completely independent issues. And yes, we had asked specifically, when this stuff came up, can we get the 2700 LEDs with drivers at different levels? And the answer from the manufacturer was yes. I spoke numerous times with the Siemens engineers on this, and they assured me that that was possible. And I've got one of the cut sheets in front of me with 27 clearly marked on it, and all of those. That's why we've been asking about these details along the way. What exactly are we ordering? Which model number? There's been a lot of interest, and Dark Sky's involvement in this from the get-go, with both Siemens and the city, was very clear on brightness issues. We've had a lot of warning that there have been cities that didn't pay attention to the brightness and wound up having to redo the whole darn city. I think it would be foolish for us to go in that direction, so I would like us to look at the procedures both on the shielding, which doesn't affect the driver level, and on how we're gonna set drivers if somebody, you can get your neighbors together and say, this particular street pole is shining in all of us and we don't like it, we'd like to have it a little bit different.
I have had so many conversations with Richard Stowe, with different organizations, with Dark Skies organizations. I've had numerous meetings over the course of a 2-year period. In fact, I agreed with, I think, 99.99% of everything up here and voted for everything in regards to street lighting, Dark Skies compliance, and everything else. When I got here 4.5 years ago, we were about to be assessed as taxpayers. We were going to be assessed for streetlights. We've hired a performance contract to come in and take care of the streetlights that for over a decade have sat there unimproved, abandoned, abused, gone because of hurricanes. We have this opportunity to put the streetlights in, and here we're sitting here having a conversation and yelling at each other over something that's been needed in the city for almost 2 decades. And when we voted on them, we agreed on 99.9999% of it. And yet we come here again, arguing over whatever. Bring the facts back. I'm happy that the streetlights are going up. I know most of the people in the community are happy that the streetlights are going up. How about an update on the electric utility as opposed to just this performance contract?
I'm good with that.
Thank you. Let's move on to the next report.
The other thing that I want to make sure we stress is El Nino's over.
Mhm.
We are in the process of storm hardening our system right now. We're in the process of putting in approximately 85 new poles throughout the city. We have more on order. It's going to be a 3-year process. I have money in my budget so that we start developing a preventative maintenance program instead of a reaction program. So that's the only thing I wanted to stress tonight.
All right, excellent. Thank you. City Attorney, do you have a report?
No, ma'am.